So, have you heard of ClickUp? Number one. Number two, have you been intimidated by ClickUp and all the bells and whistles that come along with it? Or have you tried to implement it, gave up, got confused, all those other things? Well, if that's you, then today I want you to pay attention because we are going through the first steps to do once you join ClickUp and how to organize ClickUp so it works for you. So please stay tuned. If you haven't heard of me, I am Anna of Anna Simple Solutions. And what I love to do is take a business's solutions and calm their chaos using systems like ClickUp and Airtable in order to tie everything together with one central gear. So if you are interested in hearing more about this, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you can be informed when I come out with new videos. So let's talk about ClickUp. And first thing is we'll go through their pricing so you'll understand a bit of what it offers at each pricing tier and look at which one may be best for you. Now, a lot of people, and myself included, actually just started off with the free pricing tier. And I actually think that's perfect. So you get used to some of the functionality of it without getting too overwhelmed by thinking that you have to use all it because of the pricing tiers. So let's check this out. So as you see on the screen here, we do have pricing tiers that go all the way from free, and it is free forever. They'll never charge you after a certain amount of time, all the way to the enterprise level. So I don't think we'll even really talk about Business Plus and Enterprise right now because most of the people that will be watching this video will be using everything within the free forever all the way to get started plan. So the free forever has some limited storage. It does have unlimited tasks, and it is unlimited free plan for all members that you have. The things that they don't have as much of would really only include use of custom fields and some of the automation aspects and a few things here or there. But it is really good and really robust, especially for first-time users who are really getting used to all those pieces that ClickUp has to offer. If you have a small team and you've been using it for a while, the unlimited plan actually is a really good level for you to utilize. It has unlimited custom fields, which, as you realize, is one of the really, really great things about ClickUp is that those custom fields can really help simplify what the tasks are and how to use them. And then one of the things I love about the business plan is the advanced automation and advanced dashboard features. Many of the clients I work with have a need for more advanced dashboards, being able to see more things. So I recommend them using the business plan. So if you have need for any of those or come across the need for any of those, you can look into those as you come across it, and you can upgrade as the time shows. So if you are looking at these three, you see them here, you can see it's really not that much. $5 per member per month. Now remember, members and guests are completely different. So you can actually have individuals as guests within your workspace, which just means they don't have as much visibility as members do, but they can still comment and do tasks and check them off and things like that. So you can actually look around for that and play with that and see what works best for you. So once you are in, as you can see here, this is my task space down here. You start off in the home screen. In the home screen, we have certain tasks that show up in the lineup space. Some of them show up in the My Work, depending on when the due dates are, etc. And then we also have a calendar over here on the right-hand side. Some of the things hidden in here, there's a comments view where if there are comments within the tasks, they will show up here with you tagged in them, anything that is done, anything that has been delegated, etc. So the other thing that I want to show you here is notifications. And the reason why I'm showing you home and notifications here on the left-hand side is because this is where you will probably spend the majority of your time if you are just a user of ClickUp, meaning not a manager, you're not setting it up and things like that, because you will find all of your tasks under home and then all of the notifications and updates under the notifications tab. So within here, you'll see a variety of notifications, certain tasks that perhaps are overdue, as this one here is, certain tasks that have comments about where you're tagged on them and things of that nature. Notifications actually can be altered. You can go in and update them. You can do that by going here and then clicking, it is the setting, notifications over here. And we're not going to go into this. I will have another YouTube video talking about that specifically. But for right now, just know that they are there and they will show up in the notifications tab right here. So the first thing I want to jump into here is how to create a space and how to create tasks within those space. How do we actually utilize this? I'm going to switch over here to my little whimsical chart to kind of give a little bit of an explanation of what the hierarchy is in ClickUp. So if we have a space, much like other project management tools, that's basically a container for certain types of tasks. What's one of the great things about ClickUp is that it almost has an endless ability to have, basically it's like Russian nesting dolls, where you have a space and within that space there can live other types of documents and tasks and etc. all within that space, so it can be all together. I've heard people explain this as a filing cabinet. I like to describe this as perhaps a cabinet in your kitchen. In my case, I always think of your kitchen pantry. So in my house, my kitchen pantry is really small, so it's like a cabinet. But within that kitchen pantry, there's all sorts of things. We have cereals, we have baking supplies, we have snacks, we have all of these things that are within there, but they are organized in different spaces. So think of the space as your kitchen pantry, right? Within there, you can have, let's say there's a baking area, right? So we have the baking area, and in ClickUp, we'll consider that to be like a folder. So there's a folder, and I'll even call this baking area just to sit with this analogy for a minute. And within the baking area, we have sugar, we have flour, we have chocolate chips, we have pudding, we have all these other things. And each of those could be considered a list within the baking area. But within each of those, there can actually also be smaller segments. So let's say I have a box with all sorts of types of pudding, and I actually do, because we like pudding in this house apparently. Within those, there can be chocolate pudding, there can be vanilla pudding, there can be all sorts of things. So we have the space, which is the pantry. We have the folders within the space, which is the types of the baking. Within there, we have stuff such as the pieces that are needed to actually do the baking. And even within there, we have different types. Some people even have different types of flours. I could go on and on. So you'll see it is that Russian nesting doll type of thing. There's a bigger thing and stuff that goes inside it. A difference with ClickUp that other ones don't have is that you can actually have a list directly inside a space. So you can have your flour sitting anywhere in your pantry, and it would be maybe not within the baking, but it can be on its own there as well. And then we can also have documents that go different places. When you understand what the hierarchy is, understand that things don't actually have to necessarily go in this order, but it is a good place to start when you think about how you want your business to be set up. So it is understood where things actually live within your business when you're starting to assign those tasks. All right, so let's go back to ClickUp so we can see how this works. I'm going to create a new space just so you can see the choices that you have when you create one. So we're going to do a space name. I will call this test space, and I'll click next. You get to choose any color you want for the space. I'm going to choose purple, and I'm going to choose little music notes as my icon. You can choose any of them down here, lots of options, and you could even upload an image. We're going to create a workspace within here. We're not going to make it private at this time. I would like to do a Kanban board just for statuses. I actually enjoy having an approval and a review stage, and we're going to set this for the entire space. So I'm going to do approval and I'm going to make it yellow. I'm actually going to move it above review. And now Click Apps are the area where you can actually have basically little add-ons to improve the functionality of ClickUp and make it even more powerful. So some of the ones that I really enjoy is the email. You would use sprints if you have more of an agile methodology. Time estimates is pretty important as well. Let's see what other ones we have here. I like milestones. I'm not going to turn it on now, though, for a couple reasons. Remap some due dates, work progress links, reschedule dependencies. All those really cool. Don't need to have them on now. And then I'll click next. And then these are default settings for views. It is best practice to have as few views as possible and add more on versus adding all of them on there and having them required for every single space you have. So I'm just going to leave board and list on there. There we go. And we're going to create this space now. So remember, this is our test space here. Let's move it up top. And we have this blank list. It comes in automatically all the time. I'm actually going to delete that because I want to create my own. So it says create a folder, list, or doc. So those are the three types of items that can go in the space level. To kind of go with my analogy, I'm going to click the folder and I'm going to say operations. All right. Within operations, we can have a variety of tasks in there. I'm going to do monthly finances. We are going to do planning social media content. And we'll just do test for the third, just so you can kind of see how they are laid up in here. So you'll see from out here that it has the assignee, it has a due date and a priority. So this is a good time to mention that you should have an assignee and a due date for every single thing. So I'm going to jump into this task here so I can show you all the things that can be added and how to really fill this out for the best success. So here we have planning social media content and I had clicked into it so we can actually see into it now. Up at the top here, you can see we have the tasks, the statuses. This is a checkbox, which you could automatically set it to closed if you checked. This is where you can assign, and you can assign on the list level or on the task level. And this is the priority. And you can set things as urgent, high, normal, low. I tend to not use priorities because as far as I'm concerned, everything is important. And if something is much more important, I have a different way that I organize that. You can share this task publicly or privately, which means you can share this list with individuals that are not part of your workspace, like clients, for example, and for client meetings. Come down here and share with individuals and make it private if you want. These three dots, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in here, including adding to a different area, add to another list, add to favorites, add to lineup, add to tray. We can convert it to a different type of list, whether it is a list or a subtask. Right now it's just a task. We can duplicate it. And a whole bunch of other things in here, which we will not do now. Relationships is interesting because you can actually relate other things to it, which is useful when you have tasks that are dependent upon each other. And then also we have the sharing permissions. So this is just basically the status or the setup of the task itself. So the meat of the task is going to go on the left-hand side here. We have a description box here, which is where you could actually look at the back of one of the items in the pantry and actually find out all of the information about it, what it's made of, etc., like graham cracker crumbs or what have you. So think of it a little bit that way. And you are actually able to edit this and create it in a way where it has formatting just like any old document. So if you click the slash, you can see a list of all sorts of ways to format it here. So if we are planning social media content, I'm going to say H2 for the heading. Let's try that again. Planning social media for the following month. We need to plan for, I'm going to do a checklist here. We're going to plan for Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. There you go. So you can do something this way, and then you can actually have instructions down below. Instructions and guidelines. And then 1, 2, 3 for those. And then you can also link to an SOP. And you can do this either by just typing in the link, .com, and it'll link there, or link to a Google document and it will actually embed within here so it can be quickly accessed. So on the left-hand side here, I'm going to just window shade that up. We have subtasks. And then if we go down a little bit more, you'll see this checklist. So subtasks and checklists are just little pieces of the task that can be added on. Within the example I showed earlier, subtasks are like little pieces of the task that needs to get done in order to actually complete the task. Like, for example, with social media, let's say write social media content for Facebook. And then we're going to reutilize the content, the Facebook content, and reformat for Instagram. So little things that are actively done, I would be considered subtasks or smaller pieces of the larger task. When it comes to checklists, these are just things to make sure that are completed. For social media, we can make sure social media is scheduled. So these are just things that don't take a lot of instruction, but we just need to make sure is done. Another example of a checklist item would be social media is scheduled, and then perhaps you just want to put in the social media like images procured or updated in Airtable if you use that to do that. So those are some examples of checklists that can be used. Now down here you see add relationship. This is similar to what I had described before, where you could actually relate this task to another task or even a document. And you can add attachments as well if you need any images or any anything that needs to be a part of this. But I actually highly recommend linking images from a document management system or an asset management system in this case, because it should really live in a tool that is meant to actually do it. And ClickUp's not meant to be a storage tool. It's supposed to be a project management tool. So that's my recommendation. But if you do need that, that is there. Over on the right-hand side over here, there's some more information. It tells you when it's created. You can actually do some time tracking, and I have the ClickUp on for time tracking. And you can actually do an estimated time as well. This is actually pretty important when you start getting into resourcing and trying to figure out how much time a particular task would take and what kind of resources are out there when you are utilizing it. And then, of course, we have the good old due date. I'm going to make this on Friday. There we go. It is all there. What's pretty cool is that you actually can see the history of this task. And every time you make a change, it actually records it here for you. This can be really powerful, especially when you're making comments. I can be like, hey, Anna, I know it's just me, but Anna, please check out the work so far. Here is a link to the content and images procured for this. And then you can see when that's commented, you actually can assign that to an individual. And if you want, you can actually go back and edit it and change things. You can mention someone. You can mention a different task here. Of course, you can add every emoji in the world, because where would we be without emojis? And I have particular comments on that as well, because I am actually a huge fan of emojis and what they communicate. But that's a story for another time. And then, of course, the slash commands, which is similar to what we had looked at over there. So within all of this, you have individuals that are assigned, and then due dates, And I'm going to click save here and then get out so you can kind of see how it's fleshing out. One more thing I want to point out is the fact that this is the list view, which is really cool. I actually really like the list view, but you can also have different views as well. So here, remember the statuses that we have were in progress, approval, review, closed. Well, you can actually have these here. This is in progress. This is in approval. Let's say this one is closed. You can actually view this as a Kanban board, which a lot of people prefer. And then one of my other favorite views is the calendar view, where you can actually see where certain things are due. So here's this one's due this day, this one's due this day. It's a good way to kind of view where things are throughout the week. So that is my beginner's guide to ClickUp, how to create a task in ClickUp, understanding all of the pieces of a task and how the hierarchy works. So you can go in and start playing with ClickUp and seeing how these things relate to each other, because the world is your oyster once you understand how they relate to each other and how they can be created into a web of connections versus just that hierarchy of highest folder space down. If you're interested in this, and if you're interested in trying out ClickUp, please click the link below in the description. This is my affiliate link, and you can try these things out. Please make sure to check in for our next YouTube videos. And until then, this is Anna, and keep it simple.